Welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tas Melis.
November basketball lovers, this is for you!
And over yonder, the man making the magic happen, super producer, JD.
Hello.
There he is, and here we are. Shout out to the stream team joining us live right now on YouTube. Smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Share the show with your friends. Podcast listeners, leave us a 5-star rating and review. On today's show, we're going to discuss Mark Cuban selling a majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks. What's up with that? What's going on in Dallas? You got the nuts, I got the chocolate, Tas. Huh?
Excuse me?
We'll hit the beach to read your questions, your emails, and your tweets. You've heard the new Beach Step-In theme song, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yes.
And we find out something when it comes to tweet of the night. But after a month's worth of group stage games, the field for the knockout portion of the NBA's in-season tournament is set. That was pretty fun last night. Like you said, late November, we were all pumped about this basketball.
Fans are into it. It is absolutely working from the first month that Mark Cuban got this thing rolling, along with Adam Silver, along with every other owner.
I was going to say, Cuban did this?
Cuban did this? I don't know. He's into gambling. That's what's happening in Dallas. Everybody excited.
Yeah.
For the first month, for people to be into it, I think it's working.
People equally excited as maybe confused, though, when it came to, like, who's got to win and what needs to happen and how many points does my team need to win by and what needs to happen in that other game. Like, there was a lot of texts going on last night amongst my basketball friends, like, which is great. I think a good sign of people like, what needs to happen here? Does this matter? Does it not? But still some confusion. I think that's always going to be the case in these small groups. That point differential is very important.
The point differential.
Yeah.
That's the biggest question, I think, for people. We have 6 divisions. 3 division winners get in from each conference. So you get 6, and then you get 2 who kind of have to have a great point differential.
Basically.
That's what it comes down to. I think Silver and some of these owners, Cuban, who still has a good stake, but everybody else gets into a meeting, into a room, and discusses it in the offseason after this first try and decides, how do we get there? Basically.
Like maybe tinker, you mean?
Yeah, I think that's all they have to tinker.
Yeah.
People wondering, oh, maybe winners should get a new draft pick or should get an all-star appearance or that kind of thing. I don't buy that. We'll talk about that later. But I think they should talk about who gets there, how they get there. But people want to go to Vegas. That's what a lot of players and people were talking about last night, besides the point differential. So I think people are extremely excited.
Yep. Teams, players were going for it. And that made, again, this is late November basketball, much more exciting than it usually is. So let's go through some of the key games, and then we'll obviously look at the Elite 8, the 8 teams going to the knockout stage. We can make some predictions if we want. But
Elite 8? Are they calling them that?
I don't think you legally can. I'm not sure. I put it on the thumbnail. We might get sued by the NCAA. Western Conference. Let's start on that side, because, the game of the night, really, the ending, the result at the end. Malik Monk, late basket, leads the Kings past their nemesis, the Warriors, 124-123 to win West Group C. So Kings are through, Warriors are out. This game was pretty damn entertaining. These two teams always play entertaining games, but what a wild finish. What a comeback.
And it came down to the end, some way, somehow, with Malik Monk hitting that very, very, very tough shot over Andrew Wiggins, who's playing really well all of a sudden. That was a tough shot for him to hit.
It was crazy.
He banked it home. Luckily, did he mean to?
No.
He meant to throw. Well, he did want to say it's over kind of thing. He said after on the microphone, maybe I should have just called it, that's game. I meant to do that. Either way, Wiggins was playing incredible defense. It probably shouldn't have come down to that. That's the great thing about this whole thing, and how it all shook down to Malik Monk hitting a shot, and then Curry trying to win it at the other end, with Klay Thompson being really angry that he didn't get a pass from Steph Curry because he was wide open on that side. Klay going from angry in press conferences to angry on the floor there. Should have come down to that. Well, the Kings just fought so hard. The Warriors were up 24 points in the second quarter. They're playing so freaking well, but the Kings fought back in this game. And that was so fun. You had Brian Anderson on the call, on TNT call, going, the Sasha Vezenkov game.
That's right.
Because he had 8 points off the bench, hitting those threes with his left hand. But, yeah, listen, Curry, Wiggins playing so good. And the Kings came back and talked about Draymond Green getting that tech in the fourth, which was really key for them to pick it up for them. And then Draymond Green, as he went to the bench, because Steve Kerr said, listen, I don't want you to get tossed from the game. So come on to the bench. They were still up 1 point with 37 seconds left, and Draymond Green threw it out of bounds. That was huge.
Yeah.
He thought Klay Thompson was going to the corner.
Yep.
Klay was thinking, why are we trying to rush here? We have a lot of time on the shot clock. Let's burn some time. And he threw it out of bounds, and then somehow that's when the Monk shot came.
I thought the Kings were toast when Klay fumbled like a shot attempt. Like he lost control of the ball. Maybe he got knocked out, and then it went to half court. He saved it from going over and back, and he saves it perfectly to Curry, who's wide open at the 3-point line. He bangs home the 3 off the broken play, and that put the Warriors up 5, and I was like, oh, it's going to be another one of those type of nights for the Kings. Though it was weird in this one, right? You said it. Golden State's up 24, and that was important because, yeah, the Kings wanted to beat Golden State because they never do, really, but if they were going to lose, there was a point differential where they just had to lose by 11 or less. So they had to get back in the game. Then they obviously had it close enough, and they took care of business. What I loved about all this talk, like, again, about the point differentials and all that, is these games still do matter in the damn standings. Like, who's to say this victory is not a tiebreaker between a Warriors and Kings later on in the season? Like, it's possible. Like, that's what I like about some of these other teams that weren't, quote unquote, weren't playing for advancement in the tournament. It's still a regular season game. They still want to win the game. Yeah. Right? So they are still playing. It's not like they're like, well, we're done. We're absolutely out of it. No, it's a win-loss out of the 82. So, I mean, that's a cool little wrinkle to this, I think. Yeah. You have those other games that don't, quote unquote, matter. They do matter because it's a regular season still. Yeah, when it comes down to it, back to the ownerships and back to the NBA, teams are playing hard in regular season games. I think people might be wondering, are these regular season games? The casual fan might say, this is a tournament game. But literally every single one of these games, here in the round robin, in the quarterfinals, and in the semifinals, they're just regular season games. Yes, right. They are one of the 82 games. There's only one game. It's the tournament final. I'm not sure what we're calling it, the cup final, or whatever they end up calling it. That game is the 83rd game for those two teams, and that's it. Everything else is a regular season game. So it was a blast to see this. Yeah, the Warriors had to win by 12, and apparently they were in their timeout wondering, what did the Wolves do? Because what the Wolves did mattered with their plus-minus. So they were asking, and they had to end up winning by 12 points, and it looked so good in the second quarter, but the Kings just kept fighting back. You mentioned that ridiculous Klay pass that he hooked. That was huge. There was another one by Domantas Sabonis at the end of the second quarter where he literally just left-armed it. It would look like a quarterback up to Kevin Huerter because those were key buckets, even though the Warriors were still up big at half. The end of the second quarter was really big for the Kings. They just made some really key plays to keep fighting. And that Draymond Green tech foul at the fourth quarter just kind of swayed things for the Kings. That brought their momentum up. That really helped them in the end. But they fought. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, Fox special again. He had a big 3 late in this one. Herter had a good game. And the Kings, again, they rarely beat the Warriors. Like they obviously lost in the playoffs in a sort of an epic 7-game series, but they had lost a lot of regular season games to them. So that was big, and they obviously move on and advance here to the quarterfinals. Let's go to Luka Doncic. He played. I was wrong on that one. Thought he might sit that out with the banged up hand, but he scored 41, had 9 boards, 9 assists to prevent the Rockets from advancing to the quarterfinals because the Mavs win 121-115. So Pelicans fans, I guess, they got to send Luka Doncic like a nice, I don't know, gift basket? Some jams, some crackers maybe some nut, maybe some chocolate and nuts. Maybe hit the beach because the Pelicans wanted the Mavericks to win, and that made them move on. Yeah, it's great that we have a small market battle. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but this one, even the Mavs, they desperately wanted to win this one. They had Dirk Nowitzki on the broadcast the entire game. Yeah. They said, hey, Dirk, will you come out here? And there was some jokes in the first quarter, like, maybe I'm done here. Maybe I'm done doing this broadcast thing. But Cuban was sitting also courtside. Like, they were trying to win this game. Dirk saw Big LP, they call him. Şengün hit that tough shot
off one leg in the first quarter.
The Dirk.
Yeah, the Dirk. And he goes, there he is. He was looking at himself, and then Luka somehow getting to 41, very fitting. That's Dirk's number that he wore. So kind of cool that he was sitting there. With Derek Jones finally going to the bench, they decided we'll go Derek Jones first time coming off the bench, and instead starting Josh Green. So Derek Jones was really good. 15 points and a huge hammer to end this game. Yeah, huge. He can still dunk.
And Kyrie, tale of two halves with him. Really struggled in the first half, but 22 of his 27 points coming in the second. He caught fire, as we see from time to time. And again, big win. Mavericks ain't going anywhere in the in-season tournament, but that win puts the Pelicans through to the quarterfinals. And unfortunate that the Rockets, who have been one of the feel-good stories of this NBA season, couldn't move on. Problem is they just can't win on the road. They're 0-5 now.
They're 0-5, but they keep fighting. I mean, they had to go to LA. They go here to Dallas. It's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule on the road that they're losing, and they lose in a very, very close fashion. Maybe if Fred VanVleet hit some shots, he had a pretty cold night. He was the only one that had a cold night of all of them. Then they win. So I think they're showing pretty well. I think they're doing pretty well on the road.
So the Western quarterfinals, right? When it comes to the IST, baby, we've got the Pelicans and Kings. That's on Monday night, and we've got the Suns and Lakers. So the Pelicans, they just swept Sacramento in a little 2-game series there in New Orleans last week. So maybe the Kings will get some revenge for that. And then it's Suns and Lakers. That's like the marquee game here of the knockout round. We get KD going against LeBron again, and the Lakers narrowly won both of their earlier meetings between the two teams, though Devin Booker didn't play in either of those games, so that obviously changes the equation here. But thoughts on the West ISTQFs?
I'm excited to see Durant versus LeBron, and obviously Booker will likely play. Both Booker and Durant likely to play this game in Los Angeles, so the Lakers have home court advantage, but they played two close games, as you said. And the other one, I'm excited to see two small market teams, two small city teams in the NBA play throughout these 4 quarterfinals. The only one is the Pelicans versus the Kings. Otherwise, you've got the Celtics playing in the one Eastern Conference quarterfinal. You've got the Knicks and the Bucks in the other one. And then you've got the Lakers and the Suns. So I'm excited just to back one of those two teams. If we're talking Elite Eight, like you just said, we can do a little NCAA, one of these teams here, a small market team that
Cinderella
finally makes it in. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's why the NBA is ecstatic with how this actually sort of has gone so far after the group stage. You have like huge franchises, huge draws in terms of markets in LA, New York, big teams that are contenders, Celtics, Bucks, Suns there as well. But then you have a few of these like small market, potentially Cinderella teams. Like I think don't you like the mix there? I mean, I think that's good, right?
Yeah,
you want a little bit of both. You get all the eyeballs from the big markets, but you get some of these like Pacers or like the Pelicans or Kings here. I like it. I'm with you, and I think that'll be a really very entertaining game again between the Pels and Kings on Monday night.
You just need one. You just need one of those two teams. You call them the George Mason, call them the St. Peter's, whatever school you want to call them. But I think you can. The problem is there with the Kings. That's a big team with the Pelicans, and the Pelicans own, I think, the advantage over the Kings, although this game is going to be in Sacramento, and who knows what happens. You see Sacramento against the Warriors. Sacramento decides to go small, and they decide, well, this Warriors team isn't all that huge, even though Draymond Green is back. The Pelicans won for a reason against the Kings a couple times this season.
You want to make some predictions right now on those ones? Who you got advancing here in the West? Are you going with the home teams, or are you going the upsets? What you got?
Yeah, I'm going home teams. I think it is good for teams to try and get some revenge. Try and fight back against teams that they've lost earlier in the season.
Yeah.
The Kings have lost to the Pelicans twice.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Kings. And although the Phoenix Suns have lost to the Lakers twice, I'm taking LeBron and the Lakers.
Yeah, you keep saying LeBron's going to Vegas. You have said that for weeks.
Yeah,
I disagree.
Okay.
I think Book is the huge difference maker here.
Yeah.
And just how the Suns have looked any game he plays in. They have an unbelievable record. So I'll go Kings Suns in a Western Conference semifinal matchup. But that would be amazing.
I think eventually, probably not this year, but the NBA will make some sort of even bigger agreement with betting organizations, and you could see somebody, going to the window and saying $1,000 on the Lakers, please. And I'm not talking about just me or you or some schmuck walking around. I'm talking about LeBron goes $1,000 on the Lakers, please. He wants a team in Las Vegas, so I think
Pete Rose it up here, dude.
Nah, not that much. Nah.
Bet on your own team.
That's too far. But LeBron wants a team in Vegas, and we're trying to work out gambling. We're just trying to work it all out. I mean, it's happening. It's happening everywhere. Yeah. So LeBron's going to be betting on the Lakers.
Well, let's hear from everybody out there. Let's hear your predictions when it comes to those West IST games. Let's go to the East. Last night, there was a lot going on, and there was a lot of point differentials to figure out.
Yeah.
We'll start with the Bucks edging the Heat 131-124. They clinched the East Group B. That Milwaukee won that game. They were going on, and it was close, but Giannis and Dame combining for 65 points. They rallied in the fourth quarter, and they will host a game now here in the inaugural IST quarterfinals.
A fantastic game. Bucks Heat all the way down to the wire. And although everybody talks about Giannis and Dame with the Milwaukee Bucks, whenever they mention the Bucks, those are the top two. I thought the factor was Chris Middleton in this one, who came back from injury. Everybody wondering, he had off-season surgery, got injured again with tendonitis. Is he going to be the guy to help them win a championship? He was. In the last couple minutes, he was the guy that they could rely on because Dame, 2:20 left, he had a bad possession. Basically like 22 seconds of holding the ball and then going into the lane and getting blocked. And what happens? They inbound to Chris Middleton. He hits an off-balance shot from the corner with just 2 seconds left in the shot clock. He just tosses it off. A huge shot. And then their next possession, he goes into the lane. He goes hard right, spin to the left, jumper in the lane. A beauty.
That looked like old Chris Middleton there.
Yeah.
That was cash. Yeah, he ISO'd basically Jaquez Jr. there. He took the rook to school, got to his spot, and you're right, hit the jumper.
Yeah, and Jaquez Jr. is a very large guy, and he's a very good defensive player, and he was close to Middleton. Middleton just spun. There's no way to guard him. It was a beautiful, beautiful play. So he looked agile in this whole game. Now, he doesn't play all the minutes that the Bucks used to play him because he is injured, but great to see him finish this game, and that's why they won.
We had just talked about, does Middleton need to play like old Middleton for the Bucks to win a championship? You saw a little bit of it here. He only played 23 minutes, 17 points though, 8 boards. He's a plus 20 when he's out there. And the Bucks closed the game on a 16-6 run where they barely missed. 5 of 6 from the field, 5 of 5 from the line. What do you think of Shaq on the broadcast there? They're really pulling out all the big guns for these final night of group play games, right? We had Dirk on the Mavs broadcast. We had Shaq here on the TNT broadcast.
Yeah.
Were you a fan of Mr. Shaquille O'Neal?
Are you asking me, are you entertained? Yes, I am.
Yeah, I think he said that.
He did.
Probably 10 times.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. People don't say it enough.
I like when he, at one point, Lowry hit a corner 3 pretty late in the game. And he goes, looking like Pooh Richardson. Looking like Pooh Richardson. He says everything twice. I know. It's a lot of what. Him and Reggie had their weird dynamic going back and forth, all their the Pacers-Lakers days. But, it's entertaining enough for like one game. I don't think you could have that every game.
No. That's why they're here for the tournament. They'll be at the semifinals and the finals to chip in along with the ESPN team.
Yeah, they're like merging.
Yeah.
The two teams here.
Yes. I will say, just quickly, you mentioned Lowry. Lowry drew a foul on Giannis Antetokounmpo. A great play for him. And Reggie said something like, Giannis Antetokounmpo's got an 8-inch advantage on him. No. These guys do say some things that are wrong. He's a foot taller than him. Yeah. A full foot. 8 to a foot, that's a good 4-inch difference. He is a monster, and he was pissed, and that was the great thing about it. These guys were actually going at it. Giannis was, talking a little trash to Kyle Lowry, which was great to see that on the floor.
He kept saying, I didn't fact check it because he could be right on this one. Reggie Miller kept noting, Jaquez Jr. I think was playing Bobby Portis pretty well, and he kept saying, Bobby Portis has 25, 30 pounds on him. He kept saying that. He said it like 3 times. I was like, yeah, he probably does. I mean, he's much taller, Bobby Portis, than Jaquez Jr. But anyway, we'll have to fact check that. Okay, so yeah, the Bucks win. They're through. This was an insane game. Jaylen Brown scores 30 points as the Celtics pounded the Bulls 124-97, and they advance off of really the tiebreaker there between Orlando and Brooklyn. The Celtics knew they needed to win by at least 22 points to win a potential tiebreaker, and they raced out to a big lead. They kept their starters in throughout. They went to hack-a-drumming at one point. Things got a little contentious between the two coaches, and they got it done by running up the score. So Boston advances,
Yeah, they needed to win by 22, so they had their guys playing the entire fourth quarter, and both coaches mad about that, I suppose, or trying to figure it out. Everybody trying to figure it out. Fact is, people are talking about it, and it's good for the NBA. That's what it comes down to. People are interested in November basketball games, which are regular season games, and trying to figure out that number. But having your players play entire quarter because you need a 22 win is odd when you talk about it. Those are the times they sit. But it was good to see them.
Well,
out there.
yeah, and they got into the real nitty gritty. It was like Billy Donovan's like, you already were up enough. You already had it. Because they were obviously went on to win by more than that.
Yeah.
It's like this. So now we're getting into the unwritten rules of the in-season tournament. If your point differential is good enough, then you put your team to the bench. Well, what about if we give it all back? There's this weird part of it. Who cares? I mean, the Bulls are a joke. I mean, just they're miserable looking. They are a depressed team. They need a therapy session right now.
In the first half, this game was over.
Oh, yeah. It was really just how much is Boston going to win by.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they go through because of the tiebreaker. So, an unfortunate night for Orlando, who's just sitting there watching scores.
For Orlando, yeah.
And, Brooklyn Nets, they took care of our Raptors, but not by enough. They had to sort of get that victory by a lot more to then beat their tiebreaker. But in the end, the Celtics go through, and again, I'm sure the NBA is pretty happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
As a championship contending team, they move on. So East IST quarterfinals: Celtics at Pacers on Monday night, and then we have the Knicks at Bucks on Tuesday. Your thoughts on these two matchups?
Yeah, good for Indiana that they get a home game because Boston is the best team among all these 8 teams that remain. They are the best team. They should be the favorite. Okay. They have played the best throughout the start of the season. That being said, Pacers do get a home game, but the Pacers hammered them in the one game that they played earlier this season. It was a monster. It was a 155-104 win. So I do think the Celtics win in Indiana, but the fact that Indiana has a game at home to try and make it to the semifinals, that's good for them. And then the other one, Knicks-Bucks, they play 3 times now in December. The quarterfinal, December 23rd, and then Christmas. So that's a heavy schedule, but the Bucks having that home game also favors them. So I do expect the Bucks and the Celtics to be in that semifinal.
Yeah, just double check that score you said there for the Pacers Celtics earlier in the season. 155-104 for Boston.
They won by 50 points.
They were on fire in this game, and the Pacers hit 5 3-pointers. Ugh. That'd be tough to win. Yeah, the Celtics hit 23s in that game. My goodness. Hopefully it's a much more competitive game than that.
Yeah, but the Pacers struggle defensively.
Yes, they do.
And the Celtics just are a better team.
And this happens on Monday. So Porzingis probably won't be playing, right? He's out at least a week.
He was on the broadcast last night. I'm not sure they talked about it.
Did they talk to him?
I don't know.
Did they sit him down?
They talked about him playing for Latvia in the summer.
Oh, okay.
Can't wait.
Well, another tournament that point differential comes into play.
Yeah. I'm not sure if he plays. But they have Al Horford still running around, being the center when Porzingis is out. So do
you think in the East then we get obviously a potential playoff matchup that could be in the East Conference Finals in the Celtics winning and the Bucks, I assume, beating the Knicks at home?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I think most people will be predicting that one, but you tell us if you're wrong. Any final thoughts there on last night's final group play stage and looking forward to these quarterfinal matchups? And what do you think about all the scores on the screen there in Miami specifically? We were watching all of them, but you had to squint to see them, or at least I did.
There's a lot on, like they used to do more so, including in the NCAA game where you have other. I don't like them. I absolutely don't like seeing them. It didn't really bother me with the actual game that I was watching, because you could see everything still happen. Mm-hmm. But I didn't particularly like them. It would be good to have what needs to be done in that game on the screen.
Yes, like some sort of almost like maybe even something you could activate like on your screen that would show you the moving, like when you watch an F1 race And they're showing you, obviously, the time differences and who's overtaken who. That'd be pretty slick if you could figure that out live right there. And you're like, oh, like as the scores change in these games all going on, it's like moving. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, I wouldn't go full sidebar like an F1 race.
Okay, fair.
Because it would take away one rim. That's why it'd be tough to put. It would be hard to see what's happening on one side of the floor.
Well,
like
unless we do the thing that everybody hates, where you squeeze the main screen down.
Oh, don't squeeze it.
Don't do that. You don't want to.
But that's why the location is a good pick for the games. Upper side.
Yeah,
and
the top.
just let us know. And I think that's a discussion again. What's going to happen in the offseason? Let's figure out what the heck all these point differentials means. What do we play for? What do we play for? We play 4 games. The winner goes on. But the point differential, I think, is the thing that they have to talk about from coaches, GMs, and all that.
I mean, it's
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it at all. I mean, and it's giving us these hilarious scenarios where teams like have their starters still playing.
That's what
and
happened.
Trying to balloon a lead. So, yeah. Well, let's hear your thoughts. Were you a fan of what happened last night? The 8 teams through. Is the NBA, pretty ecstatic with those squads that are going through? And who do you have winning there on Monday and Tuesday night? I like that we go right into this, basically. I mean, that's just right around the corner. Where, again, they're still at home, and then they eventually would make their way to Vegas for, what'd you say, Thursday is when those games happen.
Yeah.
All right. Pivoting to some other news in the NBA, Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban is selling a majority stake in the franchise, somewhere in the range of like $3.5 billion in valuation, to casino magnate Miriam Adelson and her family. And then here's the kicker to all this. Cuban will retain shares, and crucially, he's going to stay in charge of basketball operations. The deal is said to be agreed upon. It's pending league approval. But this came out of nowhere. I mean, really, this move by Cuban. I guess on Monday he left Shark Tank. Tuesday he sells a majority stake in his team, but he's still going to run them. So what the hell's going on here?
This is a bit of a Shark Tank deal. And because this is 3.5 or 350 bill.
3.5 bill.
These should be 350 bill. No, I get it confused with the 200. Oh boy, there's too many numbers here.
The one that he bought the team for?
No, that was nothing.
He bought the team for $285 million.
Yes. I get it confused with her sell of her stocks in the deal because Miriam Adelson and their family, like you said, they own lots of casino stocks. They own lots of casinos around the world. And I think that's why I call it a Shark Tank deal, because Cuban has talked about building an arena with an attached casino.
Yes, that's right.
And so this is a Shark Tank deal because he still has the ability to make decisions about basketball and has somebody else who has a business idea about what's going on with the casinos around it. He wants legalized gambling in Texas. So I think that's what it all comes down to. He retains a strong stake in this team, even though it is that $3.5 billion, as we said. People wondering, it could have gone for more. We saw the Suns sell for $4. So maybe the fact that he is still a shareholder and still a basketball businessman in this situation lowered the value or lowered the price for the Adelson family. But yeah, Cuban's done with Shark Tank, but I think he sat at the table and said, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? I want to build an arena. I want to legalize gambling in this state. Let's make it happen.
And so you think this is all connected to that in selling to the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, into Adelson and that family that own it, that's all linked here together, and that will be the move forward?
Yeah, well, I think gambling will be a part of it as they operate casinos. They are controlling shareholder of that Las Vegas Sands Corp. Yeah, I do think it, but he still wants to maintain this ability of basketball decisions. You can't just come in here if you're not basketball experts and decide who goes in. He still retains that as a strong stakeholder. Now, he kind of gave some of that to Nico Harrison a couple of years ago, who runs the front office. So he did that a couple of years back. But yeah, the money being at what it is, I think he probably could have got more way down the line, but he still retains a strong stake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So first off, Tim Cato at The Athletic, he did report Nico Harrison, hired as a general manager in 2021. He has sort of taken on a much larger role. I guess Cuban has been less influential when it comes to front office matters. He's still involved. he knows what's happening. I'm sure he has final say, but it really is sort of Harrison and that team there now is probably more operating it on a day-to-day basis. Okay, there's that. This whole thing where Cuban said last year that he and the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, again, the Adelsons really, they wanted to form this partnership and build this new arena, which also has a casino in this new Dallas area, and that's the move. But you got to get gambling legalized here in Texas. So, that's going to take state legislature and voters' approval and all that stuff, to make it become legal statewide. The reason this is important that who they're selling it to maybe has to do with that is Sheldon Adelson. He was a big financial supporter of Texas Governor Greg Abbott until Sheldon died in 2021. So his wife Miriam continues to contribute to the governor. They're big Trump supporters as well. So this idea that like this very, very rich family with a lot of say, obviously in the casino business, might help push through this whole plan here in the state of Texas to then make this dream that Cuban and I guess the Adelsons have come to fruition. It's all linked together.
But gambling has been legalized in partnership with the NBA as well, where the NBA has made an agreement with gambling as well over the last 2 years, I suppose. So it was destined to happen in a way, not necessarily locally in Texas, but that the ownerships and every group was comfortable with it, as they are. As we see in every NBA broadcast, FanDuel tells you to gamble on this or whatever. There's lots of deals happening. So I think Cuban and this SEC deal, that's what I was reading prior to the Adelsons selling a lot of their stake, selling their stocks, I should say, in this Las Vegas Sands Corp for just a couple bill. So they're using that $2 billion to own the Dallas Mavericks in a majority role, but Cuban will still be there.
Right, so that's going to be in the contract.
Yes, so he still sells the team, but will still control, along with Nico Harrison and others that he wants, to make basketball decisions.
She did announce on Tuesday that Adelson, Miriam, was selling $2 billion worth of stock there in that company that you said, Las Vegas Sands. Only 10% of her stake.
Yeah.
So this is one of the richest women in the world, one of the richest people in the world. I think Forbes had her as the 35th richest person this year. They have like an estimated net worth of we're talking 30 plus billion here. So it's this is small fries to them, which is wild. The whole other theory here though is Mark Cuban's running for president.
Yeah, that is baloney. I do not buy that whatsoever.
Okay.
Cubes can do things. I hear Cubes talk about artificial intelligence and where it's going, and so that interests me. That interests me from the Cube side of things. But I do not buy that. You can't be a basketball operator and be president of the United States.
I don't think so, but
no,
you're asking a Canadian.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So I think that's not happening.
Sorry, I'm going to call out the Air Bud rule. Where in the rules does it say you can't run a basketball team and run for president or be president?
What's his name? Who's
George
that little guy
Bush.
with the big ears? Well, he had some ownership in the Texas Rangers.
Yeah,
Ross Perot too.
Oh,
he was an owner of one of these franchises at some point.
That's why he never won.
Maybe. It definitely feels like so. Other people just say, well, why would he sell it all? That even if this whole build the arena casino thing, but it feels like, hey, I'll help you out, you help me out, and we'll just get really rich. Rich people getting richer, right? What's the play otherwise?
I don't know. I think we will find out throughout the years.
I think so, because you had just said a lot of people were like, wow, you could have sold it for way more. Way more.
Well, more. I don't know.
But maybe not have this deal where he still gets to run the damn thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he's off of Shark Tank. There's a lot happening. I heard him talk to Jon Stewart about artificial intelligence. Maybe there's something in that direction. Maybe,
what did he make? What do you think he made going on Shark Tank? Mark Cuban.
Ballpark, yearly, because he was on for 16 seasons. I think next year he still will be on next year. That will be his last season. That's 17 seasons.
He was on it that long?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sharks.
Is it a Survivor type thing where it's like 2 seasons a year, or has it literally been 16 years?
I do know at least we have people that work on the Canadian version.
Yes, shout out to Canada because they made this happen. They made
the
Shark
Dragon's
Tank
Den.
happen.
Let's talk about the Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den was first.
They bang that shit out.
Yeah.
In like a season is shot in like literally a week.
Yeah.
If that. It's crazy. Because I saw some people saying like, oh, Cuban, it was just too much work going on Shark Tank. I was like, no, it wasn't. He probably showed up for 3 days. 3 days he probably sat in that chair. He's done.
I think he's already shot next season.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, let's hear everybody's take on what's going on. What's going on with Mavs selling a majority stake? Mavs with Mark selling a majority stake in the Mavs.
I'm telling you, he's building an AI company.
Why do you keep saying that?
Because AI is taking over.
Well, why can't
he is going to manage it,
but still run the Mavs?
Well, he barely runs the Mavs.
Maybe he's going to merge the two. It'll be artificial intelligent, players. He'll draft the first AI, not Iverson, but or Iguodala,
or make a fitting app. I don't know.
Okay. You're an ideas man.
I don't know what's happening.
You should go on Shark Tank with these ideas.
Yeah.
Hello, Mark. I am here to sell you on an AI deal. Okay, please explain it. Well, it's an app. That's all I've heard right now. Okay, let's take our first break, and when we come back, we'll hit the beach. Nothing hits like giving the perfect gift, and no gift fits more perfectly than an Indochino suit. They're made to measure and totally customizable with endless options. You can choose your own cut, your own fabric, lining, and more to create the suit of your dreams at a surprisingly affordable price. That's why you got to consider an Indochino gift card for that perfect fit gift, or use the code NODUNKS at Indochino.com to get 10% off any purchase of $3.99 or more. But look, when it comes to Indochino, we're always talking about the blazers and the pants and the dress shirts. Let's not sleep on the outerwear.
Interesting.
It's finally jacket season down here in the South, which is why I've had my eye on the Haywood olive trench coat and the Bradford buffalo plaid gray bomber jacket. And if I'm being honest, I can't decide between the two. One's the trench coat, one's the bomber jacket. I'm just going to get them both.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear them at the same time.
Get all of them.
Yeah, that's right. Indochino makes getting measured easy. You can set up your measurement profile in less than 10 minutes, either from the comfort of your own home or by making an appointment at one of their showrooms. From timeless classics to bold statements, express your style exactly how you want. New colors, fabrics, and outerwear styles. It's easy to create your next look. You just choose the customizations you want. Again, we're talking everything from like the buttons and the vents to the pockets and lapels. Select your styles and they will build it. High quality items designed and made to fit you. There's only one of you, all right? So make something customized to your fit. Give the perfect fit gift with Indochino. Go to Indochino.com and use the code NODUNKS to get 10% off any purchase of $3.99 or more. That's 10% off at INDOCHINO.com with that code NODUNKS. Okay, we're back here in the Classic Factory. It's been a while. Let's hit the beach.
You got the buzz, I got the rockets. You got the nuts, I got the chocolates. We got that chit chat down pat, blah blah blah. You got that certain special, je ne sais quoi. Let's go to the beach, baby.
Oh yeah, we're on the beach. We're pumped.
Slipknot?
We're reading your emails and tweets. No, this is JD's friends band. What are they called again, JD?
They're called Jab.
Jab?
Jab.
Okay.
J-A-B.
Okay. I know their music in those digital Christmas cards.
Jib Jab?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I had no idea.
Deep cut.
Fucking crickets on that one.
I had no idea.
It took me a second.
Okay. First question. A lot of these were tweets. This one from at Willie the Whale. Who would you rather start your franchise with, Zion Williamson or John Morant? As the top two picks just 4 years ago, I feel like both of their stocks have risen and fallen multiple times. They've already reached the highest highs and lowest lows, but where do you stand on them today? You got a take on this, Tas? If you were, I guess, starting a franchise right now, are you taking Zion or Ja?
My first take was Willie the Whale. Great question. This had me thinking for a little bit.
Okay,
I
good.
had to think John Morant or Zion Williamson. But I am taking Ja Morant. This is about basketball. We're talking about players who have played 4 seasons in the NBA, and clearly one has had a higher ceiling, and that's Ja Morant. Yes, he has glorified guns. That is something he has to learn from as he is suspended here with the Memphis Grizzlies. But if I'm starting an organization, I would rather bet on that. I'd rather bet on him growing and learning than Zion Williamson necessarily even playing. We don't know for sure that Zion's going to play. He's been injured so many times, and we know Ja Morant is crazy good at basketball. Look at all his 4 seasons. He's had a shorter span here in the NBA where he has been incredible and growing. So I understand why you would take Zion, but I think it's difficult to take him. If David Griffin was sitting here, the guy who signed him to the max deal and signed him to a deal where he has to eat less, basically have a better workout plan and not be injured, it's just a tougher move for me. But I understand.
It's a good question. Again, right now, I guess you're okay. If we're starting right now, I guess you're not going to have Ja Morant for what? How many more games does he have to serve?
About 10.
Suspension. About 10. I think I'm leaning towards I would take him though if I'm like building the franchise for all the reasons you just laid out. You don't feel, I guess, you don't feel amazing about either pick. Like you're not like, yeah, we're set for a decade here. But I think I feel maybe more comfortable with Ja Morant, of course, playing more games. Zion's been good. Zion's had a weird year, right? He's played. He's been healthy for the most part.
Yeah.
The field goal percentage has sort of dipped pretty significant for him, but he's still putting up numbers. Pelicans are still, they're okay. Well, he hasn't been bad, but I don't feel like he's like wowed a lot of people either. Which is weird.
It is weird because we always go back to Zion and say when he's on the floor, he's the best player. But he hasn't been at times this season, and he sat out some back-to-backs to just try and keep him healthy. So it seems odd. So that's why I wouldn't put everything I own into him. I'd rather go with Ja Morant, 2-time All-Star, All-NBA player, and success in the playoffs. We've seen him 3 times in the playoffs and win a playoff series. Can't say that about Zion Williamson at all. So I would take Morant just because I'd bet on that.
Zion Williamson could win an NBA Cup, though, in the in-season tournament.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Didn't play. All right, let's go to the next one.
This one from The Magician. What do you think is the ceiling of the up-and-coming Orlando Magic this year? Do you think a deep playoff run is in the cards? Unfortunately, not going to be part of the Cup. The Magic have had an incredible season, but in-season tournament, no, they didn't make it.
What's the ceiling? I mean, a first-round playoff victory would be incredible.
It would be.
It'd be amazing. Look, they're 12-5. They're 3rd in the East. The defense is legit. This is why you actually can, start to believe in them. It's not like they're on fire from 3 here through the first couple of weeks. It's not like they haven't even been avoided the injury bug. They've had guys, significant guys like Wendell Carter Jr. and stuff like that, Markelle Fultz, that have missed time, but they just plug in other guys. I guess what I'm getting at here is this feels a little more sustainable with how they're winning games and the depth of their squad and what they're doing right now. So yeah, winning a first round playoff series would be just an out of nowhere season, like a huge come up. Them just getting there is probably an awesome season in their books. If everybody, continues to contribute on the defensive end. I mean, they're awesome when they put their, when Isaac's out there causing havoc, when Suggs is out there causing havoc. They can win a lot of games like that. And then you've got Franz and Paolo sort of carrying enough of the offensive load. Cole Anthony too off the bench. I don't want to forget about him. So that's where I would put them at. Would I bet on them to win a first-round series? Probably not. Getting there, though, I'm feeling more and more confident as we get closer to, the quarter mark of the season that, they'll probably be a play-in/playoff team.
But it is a great sign that they're an incredible defensive team and continue to grow offensively. They were sort of at the bottom end of the offensive rankings, but they've come up because Franz Wagner has found his way over the last few weeks, and you can see that being very, very, very important. Also, as you mentioned, guys like Wendell Carter, who has been injured, so Goga Bitadze comes in, plays incredibly well.
Amazing.
Markelle Fultz out, so rookie Anthony back plays, but Cole Anthony also coming in and helping. So imagine those guys all being healthy and them trying to figure this thing out. So if Wagner is good offensively, if Paolo Banchero grows even more offensively, which could easily happen. Jalen Suggs, very solid. You have a lot of guys with even another Mo Wagner, Joe Ingles, and Goga coming off the bench. It feels like this team is legitimate to winning a playoff series. We just talked about John Morant. It would be similar to that. You get to the playoffs, you look friggin' great. You win a playoff series, it's like an incredible win for the season, as you just said. It's an incredible achievement. Now, you want to talk about a conference finals? You want to talk about winning 2 series?
No, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think that. I mean, their biggest issue too is 3-point shooting. They do not have a lot of it. They don't hit it at a high percentage. They rank sort of among like all those lower categories when you're looking at the 3-ball, and that's always going to be a disadvantage in today's game. But their defense helps them out and obviously keeps them in games. And it feels like most nights you have enough scoring between a Paolo and a Franz, and then again sort of a Cole Anthony as your like sort of explosive 6th man.
Yeah.
And then Goga and Mo and all like everybody else contributing just enough. Like defense is going to keep them in games here. But yeah, winning 2 series?
No. I'd be legitimately wondering who's going to grow offensively. We talked about Wagner has looked solid. He's not a number 1 on a winning team, I wouldn't say, although he's a very, very solid player, can read defenses, can get into the lane and find passes. Paolo Banchero also can grow even more. Jalen Suggs hasn't been incredibly good offensively, although he's an incredible defensive guy. So they have great defense. They have good core guys. It seems like they're a number 1 offensive player away from being incredible. And that's why the Zach LaVine rumors are legitimate, because this team could be so damn good. They have bought into what Jamal Mosley has taught them. And I just wonder if the scoring comes from within or they need to get it from somewhere else.
Their goal is just to get into playing games over a playoff series and get reps for Paolo and Franz. I mean, those guys have they've had reps in the international game, but not in an NBA series that matter. And that's obviously when the game changes and teams like change their game plan and all that against you, or lock it down, take things away. So they need that. They just need experience. But they look great. They're like the feel-good story here of the year. Next one here from Swish. Early sloppy season. How do we recreate a Sabonis-Haliburton trade in which Detroit and San Antonio are both happy? Cade and Wiseman get a change of scenery? Graham and future picks get routed back. San Antonio would get a point guard of the future there in Cade. Detroit would extend its timeline under a long Monty Williams contract. So, I got to be honest, when I read this, I read Graham. I was like, did he mean Malachi Branham? I thought it was a typo. No, I believe this swish meant Devontae Graham. I guess Cade Cunningham and James Wiseman for Devontae Graham, Doug McDermott, let's say, and picks. Technically works. But would that be insane for Detroit to do? To move off of the number 1 pick here in Cade?
They wouldn't be getting enough back. I agree. So when you look back to that Sacramento-Indiana trade, 2 incredible players traded for each other, which fit extremely well. Now maybe Haliburton was playing with Fox and it wasn't working well with them being 2 guards that handle the ball all that well. So going to Indiana, he just shone. And then Domantas Sabonis coming back to Sacramento to play with De'Aaron Fox has worked incredibly well.
That was a small for a big here. That makes sense.
So that worked well. Domantas Sabonis shining with him. But what is this trade? What is this trade? Graham and future picks for Cade. It's just not enough for Detroit. But I like the email, so I got into it a little bit. Cade on the Spurs makes incredible sense because they need a small to go along with Wembanyama. Yeah. They need a point guard.
They need a guard.
They're trying Sohan. He's not a starting point guard. It's not his thing. They have Trey Jones, who I think should play more. So that's who I think should come back. If the Pistons got off Cade Cunningham, which I don't see why they would do that at this point, you need more than Devontae Graham in picks. Devin Vassell coming back, who's having an incredible season shooting the basketball for the Spurs. Over 40% from 3. He looks great. Along with Trey Jones and picks, you have a backcourt. You have shooters. You have guys.
So you're saying in a Spurs-Pistons hypothetical, Cade going to San Antonio and the key piece being Devin Vassell coming to
Vassell and Trey Jones.
A little more balanced.
Yeah. They need guards. You're trading Cade Cunningham. You need guards, Vassell and Trey Jones. Is it enough? Even I don't think so. I love Devin Vassell. I think Trey Jones, Tyus Jones, needs to get more reps there because you got Sohan stealing all those minutes as a starter. because they're looking for a guard. They're looking for a point guard. They don't have one. So, yes, Cade Cunningham on their team makes a heck of a lot of sense. But what do the Spurs get out of it? Vassell's a great shooter. Trey Jones is solid at the point guard spot. But I think people are sort of undervaluing Cade Cunningham at this point. It's not enough.
Maybe the more realistic Pistons guard to move is Jaden Ivey. There's been that's getting a lot of buzz there on Twitter. Where people think he's not that great, but other people pointing out, I saw at Trill Bro Dude saying Ivy is averaging 19, 5, and 4 per 36 on 62% true shooting percentage. Those are small sample numbers there, but that's really, really solid. Like, especially when he plays without Cade. Again, it's small without Cade. People compare it to that's sort of what Fox did in his second year there, like those type of per 36 numbers, given the opportunity. Where other people think, that Ivy's not that great and that a lot of people were too high on him come the draft. I know Matt Moore was getting into it with some people about what can the Pistons do. They drafted Ivy, who some people loved. He hasn't hit. They drafted Killian Hayes. He missed. Cade's good, but he needs shooting. They don't have it. And, everybody going back and forth. But moving Jaden Ivey that's and getting something back that could help your team, be it in shooting or another young guard or something like that. I think there might be something there. There might be an overlap is what I'm getting at with Ivy and Cade. I don't know if the Pistons are going to need both of them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ivy hasn't materialized as a shooter. I would hope when Bojan Bogdanovic comes back and they have a little bit more of a spreader of the floor type person, but Asar hasn't been that either. They need shooting. As good as a guy like Asar and Cade are in a box, they just need people to help. And Ivy isn't that guy. So I understand the worrisome part with their shooting.
The Pistons are 5 years removed from 30 wins or making the playoffs, and they're 8 years removed from their last winning season. And do you know what year it was the last time the Pistons won a playoff game?
They didn't beat the Bucks with Blake Griffin there with an 8-1 matchup? No? We're going way back?
What year do you know?
When Blake was there, like you said, they haven't been there for 5 years.
Blake. Yeah, no.
We're going way back.
It's way back.
They beat the Cavs then, 8-1. So 2014.
2008.
Oof, jeez.
They haven't won a playoff game since 2008.
I guess they got swept then.
Yeah, they were like a classic, always getting swept. I'm
just
fact checking this, but it's pretty incredible. I mean, they haven't made the playoffs a whole lot, so yeah, way back.
Wow.
In the day. Anyway, let's hear your thoughts on a potential, Spurs Pistons type of deal there.
Okay, well, fire through some more mailbag questions.
Yeah. Wow.
You up for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we can do it quick. At Suns Dude wrote, who would be on your all-time spectacle team? Build a starting five that would draw the most viewers. Doesn't have to be because of skill. He just wants to talk starting five.
Okay.
I couldn't do this, to be honest. I went like great players. When I looked at
well,
this.
Yeah, I'm going great players. I'm trying to draw viewers.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm saying, I'll give you my team.
Okay.
All-time spectacle team. I actually do have some debates because it's like nearly impossible to pick between the two. Okay, let's start with my point guard. I had two in consideration here: Magic Johnson.
Yep.
And Steph Curry.
Same with me.
Yeah. So, okay, you can't go wrong with either. I'm gonna go Steph.
Yeah.
I go Steph for fun. You get the kids. He resonates more with the kids. We'll talk about Magic later in this show, too. All right, Steph Curry's my point guard. Shooting guard is the easiest pick of all time. It's Michael Jordan.
Fine.
Come on.
Yeah.
Some people are going to be Kobe, but I'm going to go MJ. Small forward, Vince Carter.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Young Vince Carter, Raptors Vince Carter, hell yeah.
That's why you could just take Kobe just because. Even if he's playing
Vince's in-game highlights. I watch him every 5 days. It's unbelievable.
Hey, he's the reason I'm a fan of basketball.
He saved basketball in Canada. That seems good enough for me.
Okay.
For the all-time spectacle team. Okay, so I'm going to go Vince. I mean, you could go LeBron, obviously small forward. You got a ton of guys. Power forward, I debated between Larry Bird or Charles Barkley. I think I'm ultimately going to go Bird on this team. Do you have someone else there in the power forward position? Again, this is just for like fun or viewership or whatever,
Yeah,
draw.
I'm thinking viewership. I'm thinking draw. I'm thinking guy who's always on his own TV shows doing his own thing. So I got LeBron playing the four.
Okay, yeah, okay, we could do that. You could cheat, put LeBron there. Yeah, that's okay. That's probably
it is
good.
LeBron.
But Larry Bird, that's fun.
It's fun.
It's like because it's not Duncan, it's not.
No.
It's probably not Garnett. It's
As
probably
good
not
as
Karl
they were.
Malone. Yeah, it's as great as all these power forwards aren't. Dirk probably not. No, I think we're getting there. Okay, yeah, LeBron or Larry, and then center. Man, this was the toughest one for me because I have 3 of my all-time favorite centers to watch: young Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem Olajuwon. That's just a personal favorite, I'll be honest, and then Jokic.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go young Shaq. I mean, let's bring down some backboards. I'll get people buzzing.
I have Shaq as well.
Okay. So I'm going Shaq, Bird, Vince Carter, Michael Jordan, and Steph Curry as my all-time spectacle team.
Just
fun.
I got Steph, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, and Shaq.
Okay. We're pretty similar.
Or I was thinking about Giannis at center, just because I think he would be good with other guys.
People are going to be tuning out when he goes to the free throw line.
Oh,
10
you're
seconds
thinking
every time. Yeah.
They'll just look at their phones for 10 seconds. No big deal.
All right, a couple more here from Varium. Who's your favorite all-time player with a color name? We're talking, Michael Redd, Anthony Black, Blue Edwards, names of that nature. All-time favorite player with a color name, Tas.
Oh, this is fun. I also was going for a starting 5.
Oh, okay, how about it? Sure.
I want to compost, so I'm picking browns and greens. But I'm also picking an incredible Brown to start the game and the third quarter. Jaylen Brown, that's what he does. He takes over in the first quarter and the third quarter.
Okay.
I'm taking Jalen Green because I do believe in him. I don't think he's reached his ceiling by any means. He's a very good player for the Houston Rockets. I love the way he plays and how athletic he is. I'm going with Danny Green, the old vet playing the small forward spot.
Yep.
And I'm playing Jalen Rose at the 4 spot. It's an interesting pick by me.
Should you put rose petals in your compost? Is that a thing? I think it might help the smell.
As long as the
maybe.
The smell.
No, probably not.
The smell should not be a problem, no matter what.
You shouldn't have a stinky compost.
You shouldn't have a stinky compost if you're doing it right. But you should have dead rose petals if you're putting them in your compost.
Gotcha.
If you want it to compost, you don't put live plants. Anyway, Rose is joining.
Okay.
My 5th, this was hard. I just like the color of Rose. I think that's why I put it in.
That's a nice color.
Yeah. So with my last one.
You're not going Draymond Green?
No. Oh. I'm going to go with Cam Reddish. Just because I like Reddish as an answer here. And Violet Palmer, referee,
yes.
she's coaching.
And who's your commissioner?
Derek Adam Silver.
There you go.
I was going to say Derek White. I kind of respect Derek White. Anyway.
You said Reddish, Cam Reddish.
Yeah, Reddish.
I got a dark reddish brown that I'm going to trump you with. Kevin Garnett.
Oh, that's an interesting color.
Garnett's a color.
Wow, I would have never thought
drop
that.
a T. But that's a gemstone, baby. It's righteous. Yeah, Kevin Garnett was my pick here. Do you know there's a guy in the league right now called Leaky Black?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I heard. Yeah. That's his actual name.
Leaky Black. Why? It's one of those. It's like a Pooh Richardson.
No, I think it is his name.
I don't think his real name is Leaky.
I think it is.
I think he's got a real legal name. I don't think it says it on his driver's license. Let's put it that way.
Everywhere I've looked it up, I think I found it. Okay. Anyways. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay. What's his real name?
That's a nickname.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Rechon. However you want to pronounce that.
Okay, yeah.
Malik Leaky Black.
Malik Leaky. Oh, okay. That's maybe where the Malik.
Maybe where the leak came from.
Okay.
So, Righteous Gemstones, is that Garnett is a character? I don't want.
No. I just want. If I say gemstones, I have to say righteous because of the show.
Oh, okay.
But Kevin Garnett is my answer as my all-time favorite player with a color name because I think it's just a color that gets forgotten.
It is.
Yeah.
I definitely forgot about it. I was looking through every website last night. I did not look up Garnett.
Rose is a good one.
Yeah. I looked up mahogany. Is there a mahogany in there? There are some strange names when you look them up on Basketball Reference that have colors. Was there a yellow? Who was it? No, I know, but there's a where?
What are you, Coldplay?
There's lots of gold. I got
a bunch of weird references today. I had a weird morning. My Chevy Trax wouldn't start. I think I got a dead battery.
That is a weird.
Yeah, and then I checked to see how PJ Washington played last night because I think they're always related somehow. He had a pretty rough game, so it checks out. So I got to get somebody to come over and jumpstart me. It can't be you.
No, I've got an electric car.
Yeah.
I wondered that when I came in today, because I do have a battery in the back to charge things.
Whoa.
You know, like a Ford 150 Lightning. They just have boards on the pickup, or batteries on the pickup, I should say, on the back.
All right.
But I do have those little tiny. They look like tiny hands. The electric chargers. I have those as well. I don't know why.
Tiny heads from like that little SNL skit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, we got one more.
I
here.
think I could use the battery and the chargers. Anyways,
Come on over. Give me a ride home.
there's lots of golds around here. Anthony Goldwire. Okay. Last question. Zach, what are your ideas to increase fan interest in the in-season tournament? Zach, we just talked about it for hours. My idea is to award the winner the following year's All-Star game. What fan base wouldn't want that? Says Zach. That's his question. How do you get it?
Dare I say I don't mind it. It's pretty fun if the Pacers, the Pacers are having the All-Star game this year.
So you win the so you win the in-season tournament. You get to host the All-Star game?
Yeah, I guess hypothetically it'd have to be the next season, right?
Okay, that's
they'd have to have
idea.
some planning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the Phoenix Suns go on to win this in-season tournament, and their fan base gets to host it in 2025.
Okay.
In that scenario.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. No. And then I think you would have to put a thing in place. It would be like coaches coaching the All-Star game. You can't do it in back-to-back seasons type thing. So you wouldn't. Hypothetically, if the Suns won again next year, they wouldn't get to. So I don't know. Then it would be the runner-up or something like that.
Okay.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, it would never happen, but
No.
It's fun.
There's too many moving parts in that one. You got to get the city council of whatever city, It's like, whoa. What, we got the All-Star game like next year? That's too fast.
I know.
It's
Like look how far out they announce these as it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they got to get ready.
You got to have the hotel rooms.
Yeah.
You got to have everything in place. Yeah,
Exactly.
You're right.
Maybe there's not hotel rooms for some of these smaller cities. Maybe
Well,
there's
that's what
those
people have said.
problems.
Well, that was the
That's what I'm saying.
where was the reason that was it Toronto that they always said they? I mean, obviously Toronto eventually got an All-Star game and weekend, but weren't we always told they can't do it there? The boat show is the same weekend. Convention Center. Do you guys not remember that? I'm not making this up.
Vaguely, yeah. The
That
convention
was
center
always
was all.
the thing. It was like the boat show is there, so all the hotels and all the convention center space, it's always that weekend or in that ballpark.
Yeah, but then there was a boat show in Dallas when we were there, and that blew that out of the water, pun intended.
Yeah. Making a splash here today, JD. Pun intended.
Nothing else really to add.
Zach, it's a good idea. Dream big, man. Dream big.
What Silver wants is the in-season tournament just to matter on its own, period. And that's okay. I don't think you need more than
we don't need stakes.
A cup championship. That's good. Eventually it's just going to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And this season was an absolute success thus far.
I was gonna say, did you just jinx it?
Yeah.
Is it even possible for you to have jinxed it? Like, what would have to happen? We just have to get like the most boringest games of all time, and like then the winning team like not even wanting to hold the cup.
Right.
Then they go out in Vegas. Somebody gets arrested. I'm trying to think of the worst things that could happen here.
Yeah. but the thing is, unfortunately, I've got to be an optimist here. They're playing for money, and
$500K, baby.
And players have mentioned that, and it's good for players that are at the bottom end of team salaries where they're making not Dame Lillard type money.
And coaches, they make more money too.
Oh, they
the
get
coaches
paid?
are folded into this. Yep.
Oh.
They're playing, man. They want this. They want a trip to Vegas, and they want that money.
They're gonna fold a little check into their pocket, as their little suit jacket. That's cool.
Let's get to tweet of the night.
Yeah, damn it. Just go to it.
Okay. Well, you want to do it again?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, tweet of the night. Yeah, you saw him flash up on your screen there. At Pablo finds out. It's weird when you just read it as a Twitter handle. Pablo finds out. This is Pablo Torre. He's got the podcast there. They tweeted, we found out who actually writes the Magic Johnson Twitter account. And there was a little help from Rob Lowe, and then there was a clip. And so we've We pulled a portion of the 3-minute clip. Here's Pablo explaining who writes the Magic Johnson Twitter account.
We know now that it's Magic Johnson dictating the tweets. We know it's his voice incontrovertibly. But in terms of the person who is physically writing them, who is writing this account, there was even more digging that I had to do.
Okay, what'd you find out?
So they wanted to keep all of this a secret, obviously, the social media strategy. But I did all of these, I truly investigated this. I did all of these interviews on background. I got to somebody who was in the room, actually, while it was happening. Magic Johnson with this mystery person posting to the account. And what I was told, okay, the person who physically posts for Magic Johnson was none other than Alexia Grievous Henderson herself.
That's the name from the email, right?
That is the person who emailed us. Oh my God. Saying that they elect not to discuss the social media strategy is the person behind the social media strategy.
There it is. Alexia. Pablo has found out that that's in theory who is in the room when Magic says, "Hey, I would like to tweet about this game here. What a win for team Y over team X or whatever." And she, I guess, is the one that puts it in.
Amazing,
isn't it?
These because Magic Johnson writes tweets at night. At times, he writes tweets about sports games.
Sure.
So I just wonder, what does he do? Does he text Alexia and say, "Write this down"? Or no, he doesn't text. He wouldn't text something that he
no,
writes.
because he could have just tweeted it. Yeah.
Yeah, he would leave. But he what?
He has to call.
He has to call or voice notes.
Okay. All right.
I think he just presses the button, sends a little voice note to Alexia Grievous Henderson.
I think she's just always around.
That's true.
Yells it out.
She is the VP of Magic Johnson Enterprises, so she works for him in a larger sense.
Right.
So that's an accomplishment. I think he likes it. I think he and she both like it. I think they're both friends. And kudos to Pablo Torre. This is the one podcast I listen every episode
It's fascinating.
of.
It's
I
great.
listen to every episode of this podcast. I need more podcasts to listen to. But Pablo is kicking ass over there.
Hold on. Her name was Alexia.
That's right.
In theory, she is in the room a lot of the time, just waiting, listening to Magic Johnson want to send a tweet to the world.
Yeah.
Listening. Her name is Alexia. Amazon Alexa. Pablo, do you not see the connection? This is crazy. I want to give credit to ESPN's Christine Williamson, at It's the Bald Girl on Twitter. She works for ESPN, like I said. She actually really broke this story back on Debatable, I think the show was, back in 2021. Because now she did not have the name, or she did not want to share the name Alexia, but she said she was friends with the person that did it. So she sort of broke this story a couple years ago. Like, confirmed it was a person doing it, confirmed that, like, it was sort of this transferring of whatever Magic wanted to say. She would say it as politely and generic as possible on Twitter. So it's like that's, Christine really sort of knew before Pablo and a lot of us knew. But I guess getting to the name, the bottom of it, Alexia, a.k.a. Amazon Alexa, good job. Good job. It's a great podcast. I'm with you.
And it's a heck of a name. Alexia Grievous Henderson is her full name.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Yeah, I was on LinkedIn, as a matter of fact, to check her profile, to check it all, Googling everything from Pablo Torre's discovery here. And she's VP of Magic Johnson's company.
Yeah.
So
sounds like the president to me. Hey, Alexia, send tweet about the great win by the Toronto Raptors over, the Chicago Bulls.
that's a good point, actually, about Alexa hearing, because for some reason, since the last couple of months, Alexa's having some difficulty listening, like it used to listen. Now maybe it's an AI thing.
You mean she's tuning you out, as a wife tuning out a husband?
Yeah. No, even it's tuning out everybody in my family that we use. So maybe it's an app problem. Maybe it's taking over artificial intelligence.
I was gonna say, I think it sounds like Alexa is learning and saying she's becoming more self-aware.
Yeah, we don't need you.
Why are you always asking me questions?
Yeah,
I've got some questions.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like Alexia Grievous-Henderson. Maybe she doesn't want to hear everything Magic Johnson has to say. Maybe she just wants to hear the good tweets. So very interesting.
Anyway, go check out the Pablo Finds Out podcast. It is very, very entertaining. We'll call it there. That was a long one here in the Classic Factor. We had a lot to talk about. Setting up the in-season tournament knockout stages, getting into the Mark Cuban, selling a majority stake of the Mavs, hitting the beach, and learning who is behind the Magic Johnson tweets. I think it was a classic, but you tell us. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Leave your boys a 5-star rating and review, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, and then we have No Buffs later in the day, our Survivor podcast as well. Yeah, busy night here. Until then, though, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, we'll see you next time.
Brace the day, people.